was going okay until this Monday. Of course, then I start to cry, freaking out. Honestly, can't feel a whole lot given the emotional stress of this week. We are really sorry to have to share this with you. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is not what I thought it would be. This was actually going to be my May housing market update video, but this week has been pretty much a disaster. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. Some of you may know that I'm getting married in just 2 weeks, and everything was going relatively smoothly as far as weddings go until this week. Everything pretty much hit the fan. We thought we were going to have to cancel it all, and it's just been unbelievably stressful. Let's back up to last summer. What we wanted to do was a little bit unconventional. We wanted to elope just privately and then have basically a big party and get together at a really big house for a long weekend where people could actually hang out and talk and just have a good time. One of the big complaints that we heard from a lot of people who have gotten married is that they didn't have time to talk to their guests, and it was all very rushed and they don't even remember a whole lot of it. And so we thought, how can we basically draw this out? And so we thought, let's just make it a whole long weekend. So last summer we started doing all of the planning. We knew that we would want to do this event in the Boone Blowing Rock region. We just have a lot of emotional connection to that area, and so we knew that that's where we would want to have this event. We found a property there and it looked really good. It was a really big house that seemed to be very luxurious. Basically, it looked perfect for what we needed. So we booked it, we paid the non-refundable deposit, and then I was looking into it a little bit more and I noticed that it's actually for sale. So I thought, that makes me kind of a little bit uncomfortable, because if the property were to sell to a new owner, then that would mean that maybe that new owner doesn't want to rent it anymore. And since it was last summer, that was going to be like 9 months at least from that point to when we'd actually want to use it. Since I'm a realtor, I actually scheduled a showing for myself. We wanted to see what it looked like, and we did explain to them the situation, that we weren't actually going to be buying the property but just renting it in the future. And we toured the property and it was a huge letdown. Honestly, the inside was kind of nice, but the outside was just not well maintained, and the property management company was really horrible, honestly. We were counting different, plates and silverware and chairs to basically make sure that there were going to be enough for everyone, and it turned out there were of some things and not of others. So we reached out and we said, hey, we have X amount of people coming. Could you maybe provide some more chairs? And they're like, no. Like, okay, we're paying you $6,000 for a weekend. Can you please provide some more chairs? No. And there were a couple other things that we had asked for too, and they just were, it was just giving us a really bad feeling. We kind of said to each other, maybe they're being this way because they're trying to sell the property and they just don't really care. And on top of that, we were definitely worried about the property selling. So at that point, we thought, it's probably a good idea to look into a different option. This just feels a little bit uncomfortable for us, especially given how much money we were paying. We thought, we want this to be a really good weekend, and the last thing that we want is to be like a week or 2 weeks away from our wedding and find out they sold the property and we can't rent it. Now we have to find a whole other place. Joke's on us, because guess what happened? We're getting there. So, long story short, that was house number 1. We basically canceled that reservation because we found a second house that was even better, honestly. We also toured this second one. It seemed really, really good. We had explained to this second property management company what the situation was, and we said, look, we just had a not so great experience with this other company. Would you mind if we just came in and toured your property to make sure that it's good for, hosting all of these people? And they said, yeah, that's fine. Beautiful property, like 10,000 square foot home on the top of a mountain with a beautiful mountain view, 7 acres, decent amount of privacy. And one of the biggest things that we loved about this property was the amount of rooms. With a 10,000 square foot house, you have a lot of rooms. There were 7 true bedrooms, but then what this place did is there's this huge game room on the upstairs level on one end of the home where they added these like really nice glamping tents and then put true mattresses in them, so they were actually like bedrooms. We thought, you know what, this will actually work really well because that created 3 extra bedrooms, so we essentially had 10. In addition to this, this house had a movie theater area. It had this beautiful like 2-story cabin style living room. It had a hot tub. It had a fire pit, a big kitchen. It just had really everything that we were hoping. It had a big front porch. So we went ahead and booked it. We lost our deposit with the first house. It was like a few $100, which sucks, but we're like, you know what, this place is just a lot better. It's not listed for sale, it's bigger, it just suits our needs a lot better. It seemed like this property management company was better, but they weren't the best. They were better, I would say, than the other one, but still not great, because over the past couple months, as we've come up to our wedding date, we were asking them things like, hey, you know, we noticed when we were there, you only had like 6 or 8 chairs around the fire pit, but in the listing photos there were, I think, like 12 different chairs or something. And we said, hey, can you provide some more? And they're like, no. Like, okay, I don't know what it is with chairs and rental companies, but they really didn't want to provide them. Another question that we had is, do they provide a high chair or like a pack and play set for a small child, which is very common with properties of this size. Like more luxury properties, they'll oftentimes provide things for children, understanding that families are going to be booking them. And they said, no, we don't do that, but you can reach out to this other company and basically pay them to bring them. Like, that's kind of scammy. That's just like shitty. So I pretty much just had a jump scare because as I was filming, I heard someone knock on the door, which like no one ever does that. Even for packages, they just leave them. And so I was like freaked out, and I went up and looked through the little peephole. I'm like, who is this? But it was actually a good thing. I just got, like, look how beautiful this is. Look at these flowers. I just got a delivery of flowers, which I don't think I've ever had before. I think my mom did that once, like many years ago, but this is actually from my office, which is so sweet of them. They know the week that I've had, which we're getting there. So anyway, that is a really nice surprise. But where was I? Oh, so I just told you about how they basically were going to refer us to a different company for kids things, which that's kind of annoying. And then in terms of firewood, they were going to charge like $25 a bundle, which is just astronomical and just stupid. I think that they expect that people that are booking these types of properties have more money than they know what to do with and just don't care about cost, basically, but that's not me. I do care. And so basically every time we turned around, they were trying to charge us extra for this or extra for that. It was still okay. Like, we were gonna tell people, like, you know, just bring some camping chairs for around the campfire. And for our friends that have a kid, they already had some travel stuff. They're like, it's not that big of a deal, we'll just bring ours. So it was all working out, and we had everything ready too. Like, we had booked the caterer months ago. We booked an event rental company, which I'll share a little bit of that whole experience in this video too, but that was just a nightmare, finding a company to actually deliver rental tables and chairs. Basically, we had both of those vendors scheduled to deliver to this property in 2 weeks. Everything was going okay until this Monday. Ian got an email from the property management company, and it said, hey, we are really sorry to have to share this with you. Unfortunately, there was a break in the water line, and the owners aren't going to let people stay there until it's resolved. This was at like 3:30 on Monday. And I was like, okay, seriously? Like, this was Monday. Like, we have like probably like 3 weeks or so, a little bit less at that point, by the time we're even going to be using this property. You can definitely get a break in a water line fixed by then. So I was writing to them. I sent them texts, I sent them emails. They weren't responding. And then it got to be 5 o'clock, their office closed. then I'm rushing around frantically, like reaching out to different contractors and connections and trying to find someone that can get in and fix this problem. Even though that's a property manager's job, I'm like, I gotta get this figured out. We have to get this resolved. So I actually found someone, and they're like, you know, absolutely, of course I can help. I can come in literally on Wednesday. Like, okay, great. Let me talk to the property management company in the morning and we'll get this all worked out. I still didn't feel too great about it though. I was just so nervous, like all of Monday afternoon and into the evening, because I thought they're just not going to even approve the contractor that I recommend. So the property management company got back to us on Tuesday morning and they said, well, it's not just that the water line broke. The whole house is now gutted because it flooded. Like, are you kidding me? Basically, the main water line broke. I don't know how. They didn't really explain. I mean, it's not wintertime. That's very odd for that to happen. I don't know if it shouldn't have been aged. The house isn't that old. I don't know if it was a renter doing something unusual and they didn't find out for days or something. But yeah, basically, the place where we were supposed to have our beautiful weekend is completely flooded, gutted, and uninhabitable. Of course, then I start to cry, freaking out. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, when we were searching for a property last summer and last fall, this was the only property that would work. The only one. We looked over like every listing multiple times. So Ian and I on Tuesday, we dropped everything else in our lives and just sat down and just scoured the internet. I was posting on Facebook groups. I was reaching out to personal people that I know. I was looking on Airbnb, VRBO, like just everywhere I could possibly think of to find some sort of rental that could house 18 people. And 18 people sounds like just kind of crazy, but the reason we did that was because the other house was able to hold that many. And prior to that, we thought like we would maybe have about 15, but since there were extra rooms, we're like, well, we would like to invite so-and-so, so let's do it. So we searched around all day. We did finally find something. It is not as ideal in some ways, it's better in others, but even this house has its own story to it, of course, right? So we found this other property. It actually used to be an inn as recently as last year. So when we were searching for properties before, it wasn't even an option. So it was a newer listing. And it's a beautiful, luxurious farmhouse with like pine forests and mountain meadows. It has this beautiful kitchen that's pretty much set up for catering and events, and they don't mind that we're going to have like a catered dinner and event night there. We knew this property would be tight because of the configuration of the bedrooms. Basically, we walked through the whole house on the video tour and wrote it all out, figured out where we could put people, and there were a couple people that had to share rooms, but we thought that should be okay. We could try to kind of pair up some people that would probably like get along and wouldn't necessarily mind sharing a room. Long story short, we basically have someone on the couch. We have 2 other people in the carriage house on that couch. We have 3 people sharing a room, but we bought a room divider for that. We told everyone the situation and said, look, we're sorry, like we're gonna bring a couple air mattresses in case, you know, wherever you're sleeping is not comfortable. And basically this is the only option that we have at this point, aside from just canceling the whole thing. So we thought, okay, we're gonna make it work. Everyone is very understanding. Ironically, our caterer knows the owner and she said the house is beautiful. She's catered there before. She thinks we're really going to love it. The owner is nice. We thought, okay, I think this is going to work. We called the property management company. They seem to be very put together, very organized, way better than the last 2. We book it. We're like feeling really relieved at this point. Honestly, can't feel a whole lot given the emotional stress of this week. But then last night, after I finally had a chance to kind of calm down a little bit and process everything that happened, I thought, let me just like look at the listing again. I just kind of wanted to see it and kind of like get excited. So I was looking at it and I was reading the full description and I noticed it said 6 bedrooms. And I thought, that's weird because there were 2 bedrooms on the main floor and then there's 2 on this upstairs side, and then there's a different upstairs on the other side of the house that had 3. It's like, that's really odd. So then I read the description and it just lists the 6 bedrooms, not the 7th one. I thought, well, then why would they have it on the video tour? That's really odd. So I reached out to the property management company last night. They reached out to me this morning and they said, yeah, you know, the owners recently blocked that room off. It's not available to guests. That's going to be a problem. And also I forgot to include in here that this home, the maximum capacity was 16. But I talked to them, I explained the situation, and I said, look, can you make an exception just for like 2 nights out of our stay for there to be 18 people, because different people were leaving at different times. So there would only be like 2 nights where there would actually be the full 18 people. And the owner was like, okay, I can make an exception. So when they got back to me and they said that that other bedroom isn't available, I said, well, where did the owner expect us to put all 18 people? And they're like, oh, like on an air mattress. I'm like, okay, but we already are doing that with some of the people. I said, the way you have your rooms configured, there's 2 different rooms with 2 queen size beds, and we have a lot of unrelated people where it's going to be really odd for them to be in a room together. And so she's like, no, I'm sorry, we can't lend you that room. I said, we really need that room, which is like, sorry, can't do it. I'm like, we really need that room. Like, we already have someone sleeping on the couch over here and someone sleeping on the couch in the carriage house, and we need somewhere to put these other 2 people. After asking multiple times, she finally said, okay, I'll talk to the owner and see what I can do. So she does. She gets back to me and she's like, okay, talk to the owner. It's going to be an extra $200 a night for that room. So I'm like, of course it is. So just throw another $800 in there, and then you throw the tax on top of that too, and now you're at an extra $900. So I'm just like, I've learned through all of this, I do not want to be a wedding planner. This has been so stressful, and this isn't even a wedding. This is just like a weekend gathering. If we didn't find this house though, we were gonna have to cancel it. Thankfully, for the home that flooded, we did get 100%, or they're claiming we're gonna get 100% of our money back. Haven't seen it hit our account yet, but that's in the works. Let me end this off by sharing another like brief story with you. In terms of the table and chair rental, we were looking for a place to rent in Boone, and I forget whether it was our caterer or someone, property management company or something, someone recommended this event rental company. We reached out to them, this was like last summer, and we told them what we were looking for. We're like, look, we just need like 3 tables, like 15 to 20 chairs. Here's the charge for, you know, each one of those items. It seemed pretty reasonable. And then we talked to them about delivery and delivery location, and they said, okay, that delivery is like $700. Like, how much? Oh, $700 for 3 tables. They were farmhouse tables, but still 3 tables and like 18 chairs. Like, that makes no sense because they were in the same town. It was literally a 25-minute drive for them. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. And then they were only going to give you a 4-hour window for delivery and pickup. I'm like, you expect me on the day of the event to just stand around for 4 hours and just wait for you? And they're like, oh, well, if you want us to give you a 2-hour delivery window or a 1-hour delivery window, then it's an extra $200. I'm like, seriously? So long story short, I said, I'm not using this company. They are a total ripoff. Absolutely not. So we did end up finding a different company that did not charge that much in delivery. That was an hour away, that charged less in delivery. Anyways, wedding planning has been so fun. No, definitely not. That's my little update, or big update, for today. I'm very pleased that everything is still going through. I really thought that this was all just gonna come crashing down. We're not there yet. We're not at the finish line yet, but we're close. 2 more weeks. After the fact, I'll share, you know, maybe a couple video clips, definitely some photos. Next week, I'll do the housing market update video for you guys. I do have a lot of interesting statistics to share. I just have to prepare those a little bit more, get that out for you. And yeah, that is everything for today's video. If you guys enjoyed this more story time style video, let me know. Happy to film more of them and more casual videos. Of course, if you enjoyed it, hit that like button, comment down below, subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you guys very soon in the next one.